The world really is coming to an end.
Meow, I'm Huples Cat, and this is Wolfie Terrier. I recommend you read these 3 books before you watch this video because there will be spoilers. So sit back and relax. We're going to look at Winter's world, the world of the pre-apocalypse, the certain extinction of humanity.
The world really is coming to an end.
The best scientific evidence suggests that on the day itself, the Earth's atmosphere will be riven by flame, as if by a prodigious nuclear detonation over most of the planet. A broiling heat, the sky on fire. Tsunamis as tall as skyscrapers slam into coasts and drown everyone within hundreds of miles from impact, while around the globe volcanic eruptions and earthquakes convulse the landscape, splintering the crust of the world at all its hidden junctions. And then photosynthesis, the magic trick undergirding the entire food chain, is snuffed out by a blanket of darkness drawn down across the sun. But no one knows, no one really knows. They have computer models based on the Yucatan event, based on Siberia, but it all depends on final velocity and angle of approach, on the precise makeup of the object in the soil below the impact point. Probably not everyone will die. Probably most people will. It will definitely be terrible, but it's impossible to say exactly how. Anyone making promises for afterwards is a liar and a thief. In little more than 6 months, according to the most reliable scientific predictions, at least half the planet's population will die in a series of interlocking cataclysms. A 100 teraton explosion, roughly equaling the blast force of 1,000 Hiroshimas, will scorch a massive crater into the ground, touching off a series of Richter-defying earthquakes, sending towering tsunamis ricocheting across the oceans. And then will come the ash cloud, the darkness, the 20-degree dip in global temperatures. No crops, no cattle, no light. The slow, cold fate of those who remain. It's looking a bit grim. I'm absolutely sure if that absolutely happens the way it's described in the book, there'll be lots of people online trying to sell you stuff so you can survive, and preppers online telling you how to survive, how to dig a hole and how to protect yourself in the hole and how much water you need and how to protect yourself from dust. And I'm sure there'll be a whole bunch of videos out there telling you what to do. The truth of the matter is, such an event like this will be civilization ending, and almost certainly would kill off the vast majority of the human race. One thing I don't agree with in this book and on the beach is that governments faced with a terminal event in the future wouldn't do everything they possibly could to protect themselves. There are mines. Mines can go down a long, long way. There's a lot of mines nowhere near fault lines, nowhere near coasts. The government would try to survive by sealing themselves in. And who knows? The atmosphere will clear. It'll take a few years, but it will clear. And then there'll be absolute devastation for a long time. Ash is pretty toxic to soil. You have to use a lot of engineering and science to try and survive an event like this. And frankly, it's probably not possible. It's definitely not possible for online preppers to do so. Andreas, come on, I'm working on a case. I know, but look, Hank, I've seen it before. Everyone has seen it. A few days after Tolkien, after the CBS special, The Final Determination, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory at NASA released a short video to promote public understanding of what's going on. It's a simple Java animation in which the crude pixelated avatars of the relevant celestial bodies wing their way around the Sun, Earth, Venus, Mars, and, of course, the star of the show, good old 2011 GB1. The planets and the infamous minor planetoid all cruising around the Sun at their varying speeds and their varying ellipses, clicking forward, frame by frame, each instant on screen representing 2 weeks of real time. I stand there behind him, watching in spite of myself, watching Maya make a wicked way around the Sun. The video is eerily entrancing, like an art film, an installation in a gallery. Bright colours, repetitive motion, simple action, irresistible. In the outer reaches of its orbit, 2011 GB1 moves slowly, methodically, sort of chugging along in the sky, much slower on its track than Earth on hers. But then, in the last few seconds, Maya speeds up, like the second hand of a clock, suddenly swooping from 4 to 6. In proper obedience to Kepler's second law, the asteroid gobbles up the last few million miles of space in the last 2 months, catches up with the unsuspecting Earth, and then BAM! The video freezes on the last frame, dated October 3rd, the day of impact. BAM! Despite myself, my stomach lurches at the sight of it, and I turn away. Great, I mutter. Thanks for sharing. Like I told the guy, I've seen it before. Conspiracy theories is actually one of the themes that I'm going to be picking up on. I suspect this is going to be a really long series of videos, and it'll only be for the die-hard core group of my watchers. Unless, of course, we get a similar event happening in the real world. I will point out I did accurately predict a global pandemic in 2019 and did a series on it, which is actually kind of instructive. Of course, I took C19 to be something different, and it killed a lot more people than C19 did. But at this point, you're probably screaming, "Nuke it! Nuke it!" Alas, celestial objects don't respond well to that type of behaviour. The United States government, Nico begins, and I clap one hand over my mouth, if it wanted to, could detonate one or more near-surface nuclear explosions in the space surrounding the approaching asteroid. I tighten my grip over my mouth, clamp it closed, forcing myself not to speak. The effect would be to superheat the surface of the object, initiating what's called a back reaction and altering its velocity sufficiently to keep it from impacting the planet. I shut my eyes now too, tilt my head forward in a position that hopefully looks like deep concentration, but is in fact a desperate attempt to keep myself from leaping to my feet and away from this monologue. Nico goes on. But certain officials high in the government have decided to suppress this information, make it sound like it's too late or impossible. I can't take it any longer. I remove my hand from my mouth. Nico, just that quietly. She doesn't hear or chooses not to. Houdini smacks his lips in the corner. Those with the knowledge to perform the operation have been jailed or made to disappear. This is talking points. I can smell it. Try again. Nick? Or in one case murdered. Murdered? I'm done. I stand up, lean forward across the table. Nico, this is crazy. She leans back from me and says, what? That this is a big secret. Nuclear explosion? Blast it from the sky? You can't do that. It turns the one big asteroid into a million smaller ones. You haven't heard that? There was a National Geographic special about it, for God's sake. It was on the cover of the last issue of Time magazine. I'm speaking loudly. Houdini looks up for a moment, startled, then returns to his kibble. That's not what I said, Nico speaks softly, crossing her arms patiently like a kindergarten teacher, like I'm the child, I'm the fool. You're not listening. We went to war to prevent Pakistan from shooting a nuke at the thing. Thousands of people died. I can still see the pictures. It was all over the monitor before the paper went out of business. Drones, airstrikes, firebombs, the rapid annihilation of nuclear capability and the commitment destruction of civilian areas. There was quite a spread on Pakistan too, in the same issue of Time. The farewell double issue, cover headline, and now we wait. I didn't say blast it from the sky. Nico rises from the table and leans against the buffet line, digs another cigarette from her pocket. What I said was a nuclear explosion or explosions near but not on the asteroid. This is called a standoff burst, as distinct from a kinetic impactor, which would be a ship or other object smashing into the surface. A standoff burst has the advantage of creating the desired velocity change while minimizing surface disruption and resulting ejector. More talking points. I feel like she's going to hand me a pamphlet. I get up, I pace. A standoff burst, and you guys think no one has thought of that. I knew you wouldn't listen, she says with sadness, shaking her head, tapping ash on the floor. I knew I couldn't count on you. As I said, it's not the government. I should say the military. It's really the military, not the civilian government. They have thought of it. They even commissioned people to figure out how to do it years ago, when this kind of danger was purely hypothetical. There has to be a nuclear package in a new shape of a new kind of fuse to deliver the payload in space. Right, but they never built those. Well, she smiles, winks. That's what they want us to think. Jesus, Nico, this is crazy. You said that already. Her expression suddenly transforms from wry and knowing into a kind of serene intensity. This is the part she's been waiting for. This is the kernel of the lunacy. Certain conservative elements in the international military-industrial complex welcome the asteroid, Henry. They're psyched. The opportunity to rule over a decimated, miserable population, consolidate the remains of the world's resources. They can't fucking wait. I start laughing. Humans like to see patterns where there are no patterns. People like to feel special when they're not special. And that is why a lot of conspiracy theories get started. One of the best ones is Flat Earth. I was around when Flat Earth started in the 1990s in England. It was started by university students as a joke. Yet today, people absolutely believe, despite obvious evidence to anybody who's got any intellect at all, that the Earth is not, in fact, flat. Given the psychological pressure and trauma, and then the very physical problems that would result from knowing a large asteroid is going to smack into Indonesia in a few months from now, I expect there to be a lot of conspiracy theories online. I expect a lot of acting out of those conspiracy theories and a lot of problems with it. And so does Ben H. Winters, and a large part of one of the murder mysteries in one of the novels is actually about conspiracy theory, which we've kind of alluded to in that passage I just read. There was a part of me, I realised as she's speaking, that wanted to be surprised. I wanted her to say something that would make me say, holy moly, she's right. But of course, that was never really possible, was it? That, of all the people in the world, my sister is going to happen to be the one with the solution. No one has a solution. No one sitting in an Indian garden. No maverick astrophysicist rotting in the bowels of the US Army prison system. It's all nonsense, so plainly so it'd be hilarious if I didn't know at least one person had already been sacrificed to my sister's belief it's real. Part of my nuclear war plan is actually to keep myself busy and occupied if nuclear war starts, because I think it's important as a human being not just to sit around and allow your brain to go crazy. That happened in Jade Helm in the States. I'm still waiting for people to apologise for claiming that the United Nations was going to invade America, take all your guns and install Obama as emperor for life. That was plain absolute nonsense. There was no facts behind it, and actually the idea of it, if you looked at it logically, was complete rubbish. And yet a lot of people out there believed it. Even worse, a lot of people acted on it. They know, Coverson says again, We both pivot our heads towards him like marionettes. They're not supposed to know for more than a week yet, I say. April 9th, I thought. He shakes his head. Somebody knows early. What? Says McGully, and Coulson says, somebody knows where the damn thing's coming down. If there was an asteroid coming at us doing this, they might not actually release the information. It would be very hard to actually contain it. Certainly as it gets close, it would be impossible to contain it. An awful lot of people out there every night stare into the heavens and it would be spotted. What is probably true is that the governments would like to have some lead time before the general population is aware of where the thing is coming down. For obvious reasons. They would want the naval forces away from the oceans that are going to be near the impact zone. They would want to do everything they can to preserve what they have for the long, cold winter ahead. Maya, we now know, is going to land in Indonesia. They can't or won't name an impact spot with 100% certainty, but the vicinity is in the Indonesian archipelago, just east of the Gulf of Bonny. Pakistan, with its eastern border just 4,000 kilometres from the impact site, has renewed its promise to blast the rock from the sky, and the United States has renewed its objections. What are you doing today to celebrate being alive today and not dead? What are you doing today to improve the earth around you while you're here and hopefully after you go? I'm hoping this gets some traction. I hope people actually read the books. I hope people actually discuss this. Please feel free to make comments below. The major themes that I've identified that I am going to cover: violence as a response to this event, and also policing as a response to this event. Collapse of telecommunications. Mass human movement in the face of this type of event. Bugging out from this type of event. A little bit on conspiracy theory. A little bit on the effects of the economy as shown by a restaurant that's used in all three of the novels. Individual and governmental reactions that are not suicidal. This will include discussion of the IPSS Act, the Impact Preparation, Security and Stabilization Act, passed by the fictional American government to actually make the last days reasonable. More on Pakistan and what America and the West did to them. Some of the reactions involve individual and group suicide, and I will be covering that and I will be doing it as a standalone video because I think it's important to actually talk about effects of suicide on people who aren't dead. No surprise, the world's economy collapses. It's not a recession, it's a depression. Actually, it's an ice-cold death spiral. And there's some discussion as the novels progress about how that affects individuals and also nation states. There'll be a little bit of a discussion about a hospital that's affected. And for fun, I found one major error they should have picked up on. And we talk about the importance of having a dock. Thanks for watching. It's going to be a fun ride. Let's keep going. Only got 6 months and 11 days to go. Toodles. This video has been brought to you by Wolfie Terry Productions 2022.